Okay, here's the sync mark. Welcome back to Silent Echoes, episode 2. Linkin Park is still in the news a lot, and I keep thinking about it. The new single dropped this week, Heavy is the Crown, which I really like. People are debating fiercely about this reunion. And I've been thinking a lot this week about Mike Shinoda and Chester Bennington, right? The heart of this whole debate. Their roles in Linkin Park and what they were to each other, their relationship. This partnership led me to inevitably think about one of my favorite things to think about in all music. And that is the relationship between John Lennon and Paul McCartney. In my opinion, the most successful partnership in songwriting history. It's magic happened in that relationship. And I like to pit a lot of other examples against that example. So I am introducing the Lennon-McCartney meter. So let me talk about this partnership for a little bit from a personal point of view and how I feel about it. We have this relationship between these two really different people that push and poke at each other to create the most everlasting music in the past 50 years or more. I think about these two personalities and how they balance each other. So we're going to start with Lennon. I know I'm going to get some flack for that, but in my opinion, Lennon has less pure musical ability than McCartney.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Less of a cohesive vision. He's not a planner. He has less of a structured, big picture way of thinking about the world. He is more impulsive, more emotional, definitely less disciplined. On the other hand, what he does possess is emotional rawness. We have his rebellious spirit, and then we have an ego, which is both a plus and a minus. He has very mixed feelings about that because he's very self-conscious as well. His confidence is manufactured, while McCartney's confidence is real. On the other hand, for McCartney, we have an innate talent. He just has an ease with picking up anything with music, understanding it intrinsically, and manipulating it. He has a collaborative spirit. He understands the power of collaboration. He understands the bigger picture. He can see the virtues in other people in a way that Lennon can't. So this brings me back to Mike Shinoda and why he's the McCartney of Linkin Park, in my opinion. I think first and foremost, it's his drive and his vision. It seemed like he always had a bigger idea of what he wanted. So by the time he met Chester, he's like, oh, okay, I know that I met the missing piece. So he had that drive. Next, and that's one of the things I really admire about him, he does not have the need to be the front man in the spotlight and to be adored by the masses. And that's a huge strength. Even though he's the architect and the mastermind behind it, he is happy to take a step back. He's like a conductor, right? He's not the soloist, he's the conductor. In my opinion, McCartney has some of the same traits. And the best example of that is how he turned into a bass player. He was an excellent guitar player and he played guitar. He got into the band on the strength of his guitar playing. And yet, when they needed a bass player, immediately he's like, it's like rational thinking. Okay, we need bass. I know that I have that innate ability. I could pick up the bass and just fill that in because that's a lot more important than the band falling apart.
I didn't want, because I wanted to play something glamorous. The bass wasn't glamorous.
No one else was going to play bass. I mean, John was not going to play bass.
Mike Shinoda is a master hook maker, and that's both musically and lyrically. All of his melodies are super simple, and yet this comes not from a limitation. It's not a punk kind of thing where, okay, I only know 3 chords, so that's what my songs are going to be, and I'm just going to express emotion. It comes from almost a distillation. Mike took classical piano at a very early age and got the foundations of music and got pretty good at it. Later, his attitude shifted. He switched it to guitar. He was always open to influences, jazz, classical, then hip-hop, feeling as an outsider. So all these things come in, but having this foundation in the piano allows him to analyze what he's listening to and distill it. And then understand at the core of it that every good song Doesn't matter if it's Bach, you know, or Taylor Swift. You need a very simple hook that is singable. If I had to pick one Linkin Park song, the one that sticks with me the most, it's In the End. So musically, let's just examine this for a second. So look at how simple this is. And then the loop. Just really simple. You know, a lot of people would be embarrassed to even show it to their friends. Hey, this is a riff. It almost sounds like a nursery rhyme or something, but that is why it hooks you, because you can hum it. Now the hook of the song, In the End, everyone had that feeling, you know, at one point or another. At the end, I try and I try and I try and I try and I always seem to fail. And even if I reach what feels like the highest heights, I'm gonna go down again. It doesn't matter. There is no striving towards anything. In a way, it's a very Buddhist kind of idea where life is a journey, not a destination. And it just sticks with you. In the end, you repeat it again and again like an anthem. In the end, it doesn't even matter. Mike wrote this, but no one could embody this better than Chester. I think the similarities between Mike Shinoda and Paul McCartney are striking. But the thing is that Chester Bennington is no John Lennon. John Lennon hid behind irony a lot. You know, he hid his depression and his tendencies behind being smart and ironic. And Chester was just sincere. He was willing to put it all out. In a way, it's very American. It's very different than the Britishism that's anti-emotional, and the American ethos encourages this kind of openness. And he embraced it. He felt loved by it. He connected with so many people by being so open, by not hiding his emotion, by really embodying those lyrics that Mike had provided for him. I think he knew in a way that he's going to be a martyr. He's going to lay down on this altar of pop culture, so unguarded. In the end, Chester will not be forgotten. In the end, we're getting a new flavor by design with a new voice and new possibilities. What do you think?